You, I don't put for only keke there.
Who say you the worship so?
Tell who smoking man with the worship for you don't get all length in there.
Now go quel commercial bank na then the worship for me.
Quel commercial bank don't get money, man?
Tell me about the account.
Na keke account na inna the money, man.
Tell me what is keke. Tell me what is keke.
I be advice on the last time say
yes.
Make una go open keke account. Always una the admire too. Na keke account don't give me. I got over 20 kekes the way they want for me.
What thing?
Yes. Even the big ones na the country presently. Na me and then they operate.
With that small money, we will put in the account. Now you will buy all the things they are so with.
That small money they na in turn something for me the like today.
Now me they get money. I will give me woman. Petty money all the eater.
Mommy man, take your money, go na any branch. Tell them say you want to open account. Simple.
The problem I get now that me na bike rider. I wonder if I'm going to give for open keke account for me.
Whether you na bike rider, whether you na keke rider, whether you dey ride omolanke or push wheelbarrow, I tell una for free. That account is there for una all.
Eh?
Yes.
So, how? Any kind.
Just go na any branch.
Any of them branch.
Yes. Tell them so you want to open keke account. That's all.
The matter don't done. It don't done. Me to go open your account. Nothing.
You will the ride bike. Keke riders. Omolanke pushers. Una can't join we. Now go kill commercial bank. Inside keke account. We all can be millionaire.
Can join who kill commercial bank.
Commercial bank number one. Bank with Coquel. Commercial bank number one.
Welcome back from that commercial break. Let's move along with the program. World Peace and Diplomacy Organization on Friday, 3rd May 2019, awarded Her Excellency the First Lady of the Republic, Fatima Bio, as Peace Ambassador for her remarkable vision for global peace at the Office of the First Lady. Here is the report.
The World Peace and Diplomacy Organization, that is registered in the state of Delaware, USA, is a private non-stock corporation that is aiming at resolving conflicts and prevailing peace amongst and within nations, has on Friday, the 3rd of May 2019, awarded the First Lady of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Her Excellency Madam Fatima Bio, as Peace Ambassador for her remarkable approach and also for her vision for global peace at the office of the First Lady in Freetown. While speaking to pressmen, Dr. Jit Singh, founder and chairman of the organization, said the organization came to existence in 2011 from Chief Confederation of India Healthcare Foundation when the need to find and bring together like-minded peace advocate was strongly left. Although an initiative for peace was a new motion, formation of WPDO became utmost important in the growing affairs of a new reset which has been recently settled down world over. And the organization is strongly supporting United Nations Global Concept Program and Arts Chapter principle, as well as strongly follows United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2030. And beside, the organization is identifying and recognizing peace advocates and peace activists. That's why they have nominated and identified the First Lady, Madam Fatima Bio, as one of the candidates to have this year's prestigious award.
That we will be honoring Her Excellency, the First Lady of Sierra Leone, with the highest title of World Peace Ambassador. It is always a matter of proud wherever I go and I see such kind of people, those who are selflessly working for the society at large. And I find Her Excellency as one of the ladies who has not just made the country proud, but the whole of Africa proud with the kind of work which she has been doing. So I once again congratulate you, and it's our humble honor to actually bestow this title on you. You are making us more proud, and I believe with this, the sense of responsibility on your shoulders is now going to increase. So I believe that in times to come, we want to see that you call us more often engage us also in the activity which you have been doing. And I wish you all the best in the future endeavor for the philanthropic work which you are doing for the society at large, and it feels very proud. Thank you so much.
While addressing the media practitioners, the First Lady, Madam Fatuma Pio, thanked the organization for recognizing her as a peace ambassador in the world among many of the people in the world. She went further to state that she will continue her good work towards peace building and also embark on the development and progress of women and girls in the country.
I'm very humbled, to know that people out there are actually recognizing the kind of work we do. What I do selflessly, and I really don't do for the publicity, even though unfortunately when you find yourself in a position like this, it's always publicity around you. But I'm very much grateful. World Peace Ambassador, that's huge. I'm blushing, and I'm going to go to His Excellency and just say, you know what, I am an ambassador of peace now. So no more fighting. Thank you very much. But I will continue to try my level best to to be more than what I have become, and to not disappoint the world. Absolutely. And work for humanity. Continue to work for humanity, and continue to work for this nation.
For Star News in Freetown, I am George Elliott Sam.
Thanks to George Elliott Sam for putting that report together. Let me come over to my guest, the Executive Director for Center for Law and Civil Rights, Lawyer Hadi Dabo. Once more, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Great. Lawyer Dabo, the formation of the Center for Civil Rights and Civil Rights pride itself on the principle of rule of law and the Daishan approach to the rule of law. Your organization will be providing free legal services, not only to individual but institutions serving in the country. One may be looking at it from the point where perhaps you seem to be complementing the efforts already of the Legal Aid Board. And there are other organizations like Legal Link, they too are doing similar things. Why do you choose to have it on a free services?
Thank you very much for that wonderful question. I primarily decided to give free legal service to certain categories of people because I see that there is a need for that. I mean, for quite too long, we have been grappling with the issue of giving correct legal aid or representation to certain class of people or certain classes of people. I mean, I have got the background, I've got the exposure, I've got the experience having worked with the Legal Aid Board. So after my resignation or so, I decided to form this organization, particularly targeting, people who cannot hire the services of lawyers. 50 to 60% of our population cannot hire the services of lawyers. I have got this dream. I have this dream for a very long time. So, being a lawyer and having worked or having got that experience with certificate and awards, I thought it necessary that I form an organization that will focus direction at serving people who can't pay for the services of lawyers.
This in itself is one of the very many ways where perhaps one could say you jump over the hurdles of getting access to justice, widen that scope, because it's a challenge primarily all by itself, where people find it very difficult accessing justice.
Indeed.
And I'm looking at the key objective of your organization to build a capacity of beneficiaries in developmental and peace building issues, mainstream gender issues, that's a forceful marriage, rape, and gender-based violence. These are critical elements in your intervention.
Yes. The issue of even going against the law is a very big challenge. The reason being is that very too small of our Sierra Leonean population know exactly the law. I mean, if you don't know the law, then you always find yourself in hurdles with that law. So my organization is going to focus on building the capacity of people dealing with or playing with these laws, or like trying to dispense justice.
So in other words, you're providing free legal education.
Exactly.
There are times when people are deprived.
Exactly.
They don't tend to know exactly what to do, how to get redress.
What to do and how to get redress. I mean, if you look at the employment sector in Sierra Leone, I mean, some employers
and
employee relationship. One employer will just sit one morning and just say, "You're sacked." I mean, that employee will not actually know where to go, where to start.
And it doesn't bode well for the individual.
Exactly.
I'm looking at point 9, where you're going to provide legal aid on dismissal from employment and issues relating to wages and salaries. I begin to see already the office of the Center for Law and Civil Rights getting flooded.
I know for sure. I know for sure. I mean, it is not a new thing to me. I have been fighting that cause. I have succeeded severally on that. I mean, as I used to tell my beneficiaries, I have this dream, and I'll make sure that dream comes true.
As we continue on this, one may be wondering as to who your target beneficiaries will be. I'm looking at it from the point of the girl child, women, when you talk about gender-based violence, rape, domestic violence, and also the aged people, business people, and all categories of person within the jurisdiction,
and
both Sierra Leone and outside. Even foreigners, they have the latitude to enjoy
my free legal
services.
Yes. I mean, my legal aid or my legal services that I shall be rendering to all to everybody within the jurisdiction of Sierra Leone, I mean, it's going to be across. It's not only going to be limited to Sierra Leoneans. It is definitely going to go across to those who are not Sierra Leoneans, but rather they are in Sierra Leone.
Okay.
I mean, I have encountered situations in which you have somebody coming from the neighboring countries, and he finds himself in the shackles of the law.
Okay.
That individual, if he at all he cannot hire the services of the lawyer, he needs legal representation.
Okay.
When I was working for the Legal Aid Board, I represented a guy coming from Guinea. He was charged of larceny. I mean, robbery and robbery with aggravation and so. I mean, he hadn't the means to hire the services of a lawyer. So that matter was apparently committed to the High Court, and he was transferred to Freetown. Invariably, when I was in court, I represented him. This man could not even speak Creole, but I mean, nobody was there to represent him. So what I did, I represented him. So when we finished, I called somebody who can speak Susu to talk to the man. He told me he hasn't anything on him. And when as at the material time he was arrested and he was in prison, nobody was there to assist him. And up to date, as at the time when I entered representation for him, nobody was there. So it was a big blessing for him when I entered representation. And when I applied for his release, guess what? The judge was like, come on, if this man had not represented this man, he would have been in jail endlessly. Okay. So my organization, my Center for Law and Civil Rights is going to cut across. As long as this individual is in Sierra Leone and he finds himself within the shackles of the law, he would be represented by my organization. And
this, and the case of the gentleman you've mentioned is just one among so many that are suffering in silence.
Of course, I have represented Nigerians, Liberians, you know.
Okay, stay with me, Hazel Adaba. I'll come back to you. Let me come over to Elizabeth Mensah from the African Youth Diplomacy Forum, and also Brian Sita Kago, where you guys will be having a forthcoming African Youth Assembly. As a communications person, Elizabeth Mensah, take us through the formation of the African Youth Diplomacy Forum. What's the importance of forming this body all by itself?
Okay, so thank you very much. The African Youth Diplomacy Forum is a forum that started a long time ago through the Visionaire, but it was implemented last year, July 2018. So the African Youth Diplomacy Forum is a forum that is embodied with young leaders, people that has the same vision, the same aim to transform their country, Sierra Leone, and extensively Africa, attacking global issues affecting young people, innovations, ideas, and all of that. Yeah.
So since the formation of the African Youth Diplomacy Forum, has there been any tangible accomplishments you guys have got in terms of addressing youth challenges, either raising the awareness through advocacy?
Yeah, there has been accomplishment, but this current event we are having is going to be the highlight of it, bringing youths from different...
And it is slated for what date?
What?
It is slated for what date?
It is slated for July 10th to the 15th July 2019.
So what's the public expecting from holding this forthcoming African Youth Assembly?
What's
the public is expecting?
Well, the African Youth Assembly, it's first happening in Sierra Leone for the first time, organized by the AYD, which is the African Youth Diplomacy Forum. It's going to be one of its kind, because it's going to be a platform where different youth from different countries are going to come together to showcase and to tackle global issues. They're going to learn a lot, and they're going to experience our culture. They're coming in because there's this thing about Sierra Leone perspective of people not showcasing Sierra Leone. There have been events, other countries where Sierra Leoneans youth are representing Sierra Leone, but this time around there's a change wherein youth from different countries are coming in to experience Sierra Leone, to learn a lot of things from us, from our different facilitators, and they are experiencing our culture for the first time. So we're excited, and I want the public to be excited about it because it's the first time happening, and it's a bold step that the AYDF is taking.
Yeah, the public might be excited about it based on what you intend to accomplish. But generally, what in your view do you think are the commonplace perception of youth problems that you guys are going to discuss?
Okay, thank you very much. The theme for this first AYA, which is the African Youth Assembly, is education for sustainable development. And we know the ongoing cliche in our country, which is the free education. So by tackling one of the issues, global issues, because education is not just based in
Sierra Leone. So you're saying the free quality education is becoming a cliche?
No, education primarily is knowledge is power. So educating people, you give them power to develop, to have a sustainable development in their countries. So this year we're tackling education extensively.
Okay,
yeah.
Let me come over to Brian Sitakago. Brian, you are the executive director for the AYDF. Now the theme borders around education, and I'm not sure whether it's really becoming a cliche, but rather a flagship program of the current administration here. let's begin to talk on the significance of all of these evolving the theme on education.
Okay.
With its intended accomplishment.
Yes, we are not building a program on the flagship program of His Excellency. We're not building it on it. This is not a political program. This is a program run by a non-governmental organization. It's a program, it's a diplomatic program. But one thing we all should know is development cannot happen without education. And so we are tapping into the government's agenda of free education.
And we have complemented your
Good. So bringing people to Sierra Leone, it will be the first time for many people to come to Sierra Leone. So being that is going to be the first time.
Could it be a very huge undertaking bringing people in to actually participate?
It is.
So how do you wish to overcome the challenge?
This is a work we've been in for almost a year, and we wish to overcome it through the many strides that we've taken, and the many that are yet to come. So you should look out for that, and that's why we are talking to the public to expect something big from us. Because
so what are the obvious breakthroughs you guys have made in terms of realizing the importance of all of these and also reaching your desired aspiration?
For now, we have one of the most prestigious events places in Sierra Leone, where we've chosen already to host the event, and there's going to be Bintumani Hotel. We're going to do it at Atlantic and at Family Kingdom. So it will be exciting and amazing for people to come to Sierra Leone to be at some of those places after all. And then two, we are going to host speakers of note across the continent and across the world. We're going to get with us the African Youth Envoy for the African Union. She's going to be here. We're going to get with us Dr. Ibrahima Diong. He's from the Gambia. He's a business magnate, and we're going to get with us the ECOWAS Youth Council chairperson. He's going to be with us. So we're going to get a lot of people, Dr. Taki and other people from Sierra Leone, Dr. Lako, and many, many other people. So it's going to be a magnificent event. It's going to be golden. It's something unique, and people should look out for it.
We're talking here about paradigm shifts in the development and growth trajectory of young people. Over time, we've seen where many conferences have been hosted, all in the name of transforming the mindset of the youth. How will this be calculated, or in your estimation, will be able to cascade the impact from a particular to the general of youth? Now, the challenge about youth, people keep talking about youth unemployment, forgetting about youth employability. What makes you become employable in society? There has been a kind of mismatch in our educational curriculum. People don't normally go for the job market. At the end of the day, when you graduate from university, how you get yourself infused into society. There has been much more of history. There has been much more of politics. And so many politicians. Let's take a radical departure now from all those things, going for ICT and entrepreneurship. It's the force around that particular aspect.
Yes. Okay. One thing we should know is this program is a first of its kind.
Apologies, Lahadiwo. I know you're a political student. Yes.
This is the first time we are hosting an event like this. And some of the things that we'll be doing, we're going to build on networking between African youths. Because the more our youths are connected, the more the network, the more they'll be able to learn from other people what they're doing in one country that is different from their own, and now they too can be able to implement it. So that's one. And then two, like I mentioned, we're going to get speakers of notes that are going to come for the conference.
Inspirational speakers.
Good. So they are also going to charge our young people to move forward. And then three, we're also going to build on entrepreneurship. It's part of the program. Tomorrow will be, on Monday, will be advertising for people who want to sell Sierra Leonean culture to come to the program. They're going to advertise that. If you want to sell Sierra Leonean food, Sierra Leonean clothes, or history, or books, or whatever thing that you want to talk about that's based on Sierra Leone local content, you bring it to the program. Then we talk about now the employability. This program will be an educational program for young people. It will be based on diplomacy, international relations. So many people don't know about diplomacy. So that's one thing. We want to ensure that we develop on the diplomatic level of Sierra Leone, because we find out that the other day I was doing a research and I found out that we have low levels of international relations, like when it comes to embassies, high commissions in other countries.
But that's principally the job of the.
I know it's the job of the job of the foreign affairs, but as an organization,
do you have the wherewithal to actually enhance a clear understanding as to the need for diplomatic relations?
Yes, that's why we're hosting this event. Young people can come together. We know many countries at Sierra Leone do not have representations. So through these young people, through these youth leaders that are coming to Sierra Leone, maybe we can be able to tap into all of that to create that kind of...
Honestly, government officials listening now may not want to agree with you anymore.
They may not want to agree, but this is a diplomatic organization. And one of our goals is to ensure that we build on that diplomacy that exists between nations. So bringing youth leaders from other countries, we can be able to go gradually. It's not a step that we can take automatically. It's a step that we can take gradually.
Brian,
as opposed to we can be able to achieve that through the help of the government, because we cannot do it without the government. And I want to say kudos to the minister. He's not yet gone. Dr. Ali Kabari has been doing a good job. And to the current one that we have now, Dr. Tunis. So we hope to see all of those, and we hope to merge with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, because together we can be able to do great things for Sierra Leone.
Much more so, there has been this perennial problem of people saying the youth problems. We have a bulging population now. When you look at within 100%, 78% of the population is youths. In your view, do you believe successive governments and current administration seem to be given a kind of lip service to youth issues? No, it's not issue.
Yeah. Well, there's always been issues with youth, youth issues, and so I think currently there have been, because generally, okay, let me put the government aside. I know you're asking. But of late, 2018, 2019, I've noticed that there have been a lot of youth activities that teaches these youths not just education, but skilled entrepreneurship. There's been so much eye-opening for youths now. I see youths doing entrepreneurship. I see a lot of CEOs. I see young youths employing young youths, you know.
And we've seen a typical example here in the studio, a young lawyer forming.
Yeah, and I was admiring his comment. So you see, youths there's been this awareness of youths, because when I was really young, there was this thing, there was no youth platform where youths express themselves, where there are youth platform for entrepreneurship.
That yoke has been broken.
Yeah, I think, yes, it has been. And with years to come, I know it's going to be established foundation where other youths, generations of other youths will actually push, because youths together are able to push the agenda of the country.
I don't know whether you still consider this word to be a cliche, that's the future leaders. I don't understand what people meant by saying that.
Youths are the future leaders.
Honestly, I'm finding it extremely difficult to interpret it. What does that mean?
Youths are the future leaders. Okay, so it's not that confusing, because I'm taking example.
I am slow to understand that.
Okay, I'm getting there. So youths are the future leaders. If in a country, Sierra Leone, I'm a Sierra Leonean, in Sierra Leone, if you empower these youths, I'm a youth. If I am empowered, if I am skilled, with or without employment, I am skilled. I can do something that can bring development to my country. I can bring development in my country in my own little way. And it starts from community-based activities onto global, onto national activities. So if these youths are empowered from grassroots, it takes them until adulthood, and it's like a cycle. So if youth are empowered from grassroots, trust me, when they grow up, they're able to empower the nation.
So the significance of it is owning your destiny. Is that what your emphasis is? Where you allow the youth to own their destiny and shape their future. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, with the right
mindset.
Yes, with the right mindset.
And the ideal environment.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, yeah.
I'll come back to you, Sita and Elizabeth Mensah. Hadiru, I'm looking at some of the key activities here, based on setting up of a peer educator clubs in schools, organizing camp clubs for young men and women in universities, also outreach activities, visit schools and other communities like disabled homes. These are the type of activities the Center for Law and Civil Rights Sierra Leone will be embarking on.
Exactly. You know, as I was saying, the whole essence of us targeting those areas is for us to expound knowledge on law. I mean, in those schools, in universities, there is little or very small amount of understanding on the law. So with my organization, I shall be engaging schools to really tell them the law, to really tell them our laws, our acts, our statutes. By knowing them, they will not go against the laws.
And key among your activities, I'm sorry, apologies for breaking in, you mentioned the visitation to all categories of inmates in correctional centers across the country.
Exactly.
And we've seen correctional centers to be a kind of transformation centers, learning institutions, where inmates were supposed to acquire skill knowledge while serving as inmates in the prisons.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, when they would have been released from prison, they would be a very resourceful person.
They would be instrumental
in the society.
I mean, taking somebody to prison, I think, would not be the end of his life. He is there to serve a term of jail or to be punished for what he has done against the law. I mean, that also in itself should not mean that he should be barred from getting skills. I mean, stopping that person's idea or skills permanently because he's been punished for going against the law will be a deprivation, not only to him or to her, but his dependent. You understand? So, modernization or rule of law has expanded so much that, I mean, the level of thinking went to that far, that if you are in jail or if you are in prison, you must be treated fairly.
You're moving along with this huge ambition, perhaps, and partial fulfillment. Well, I don't know whether you are writing a dissertation, actually. In fulfillment of your vision you've nurtured over time. How is a question of resources to actually translate your dream into reality? Well, shall we look at the wider partnership?
Of course, I shall be partnering. I shall be having partnership with so many organizations, local-based organizations and international organizations.
Okay.
I mean, I cannot do it all.
Okay.
I definitely have to partner with other organizations. I have already started contacting. I mean, the whole essence of you delivering justice is a network. You have to get a strong and solid network. Then you can deliver. I mean, without strong and solid network, you wouldn't be in the position to deliver.
Okay.
So I am assiduously working on that, to have good network with other organizations that I know, that I have earmarked that they can join me or I can join them to deliver.
Okay.
I mean, I want to deliver at all.
And legally, ball could not be out of this.
Definitely. I mean, if at all I have to say on any justice delivering, I owe so much to Legal Aid.
To Legal Aid.
Particularly the executive director. He's a mother. I mean, he exposed me. He took me to this level. I must give her that credence.
Okay. Let me come over to Brian. Brian, the ideal objective of on youth transformation transcends just the belief of where perhaps one could say networking is enough in all of this. But I'm looking at it from the point where the use of the social media to a larger extent has undermined the potential of youth. When you look at the good side of it and the bad side of the social media, is the aspect of social media going to be factored during this course of event?
Yes, we're going to get speakers from all the sectors of life. I want to put it that way, because we're going to get people who will be talking on entrepreneurship. People will be talking about youth exclusively. People will be talking about academic excellence exclusively. People will be talking about social life. People will be talking about politics and all of those. So we're going to get people who talk about social media. So basically, when we get the social media people, they'll be able to talk to the youth about what they think about it, because we're getting experts. Their expert opinion, they'll be able to share it to the young people. And because they are people of notes and people who've traveled with experience and all of that, to believe they could be able to shape the discourse and the way young people think about social media. And we can see how we could be able to work on it and get a positive outcome at the end of the day.
And we're looking at two broad categories of youth. You have the literate and the illiterate ones. I don't know whether this organization principally caters for ethnic rooms for those that are unlettered.
Yes, we do. What we want to tell the people is that they should look out for more. Firstly, we're going to do this, the African Youth Assembly. But when we're done with it, we have other projects in the pipeline that we're going to start. I'll invite you. I'll use this forum to invite you now to come to the program, because when we are there, we're going to launch 2 more projects of the organization. We know in Sierra Leone many people copycats, they copy ideas and all of that. So we don't want to share ideas now, but when we get to the conference, we'll be able to, you will see what we're going to put out. You will see the launching of the projects that we're going to do. It's not only big projects that will be won in Sierra Leone. That's one thing I want to tell our people. We are going to launch projects that will be run in other countries too. I'm part of an organization that runs the Rural Educational Project for Africa. So what we do basically is we provide funds for countries, and those funds that we provide for countries, we use that to build schools, old schools. Like we build schools in communities that do not have schools. We refurbish schools in communities that have schools but they are not up to date. In communities that have schools and everything is there, we provide the teachers with incentive to teach the kids. So that is going to be one of our projects, but it's already in another country that is working, so we're going to get it too. But on our own, as AYDF, we're going to launch 2 other projects. So, but we don't want to share it out, but we're going to do them. People can steal ideas and all of that. But I believe with my team, with my staff, we can be able to do very many things, and they could come out well.
How do you intend to actually tap into the new horizon of the ICT Directorate, working in partnership with known as a person, Dr. David Senge?
It is an office that I wish to create more partnership with, because I happen to be a Prince William. I was senior prefect of the school for some time, and Dr. Senge also happened to be my senior. He attended the same school. I don't want to build a partnership based on school, but it's someone that I have great respect for, and it's someone I trust when it comes to his work. It's someone that I see as a mentor. I've been following him ever since he was studying overseas and all of that. So we wish to work with him more, because we know that we're living in a world that you cannot do anything now without social media. So definitely, as an organization like ours, we are in 20 countries. I'd like to state that. We're in 20 countries across Africa. So we would like to work with the first director of the technology and all of that in Sierra Leone. So we'll see how we can be able to build on more young people, more creativity, more innovation and all of that.
Okay, stay with me in the studio. He's Brian Sitakago. The Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Reverend Abraham Jones, launched the newly developed inspection manual for business houses. George Elliott Sam has the details of the story.
The Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Reverend James Cisse Jones, said their ministry have assessed the level of performance of the permanent and confirmed trade monitors. He said the ministry, with keen concern that there is need to enhance the technical skills and knowledge of the trade monitors in the areas of trade and trade-related issues, interpersonal relationship with the business community, reliable trade data collection, report writing, understanding the Civil Service Code, rules and regulations, and the mode or line of communication. The Deputy Minister went further to state that the lack of required training in the areas, coupled with other unprofessional misconduct, led to the suspension of the activities of the trade monitors on the 7th of November 2019. Although a good numbers of the trade monitors have either certificates, diplomas, or university degrees, they, however, required no job training on the areas listed above in order to be more professional and effective in executing their responsibilities. While launching the document, the minister stated that the document provides general guidelines for inspection and monitoring the quality, quantity, and price of goods in business facilities, warehouse, and factories in the country. The objective of the inspection manual include to ensure compliance with conformity, assessment to national and international standards, to emulate, minimize the trade in substandard and counterfeit products, to provide, ensure that food is safe for human consumption, to ensure that customers have a clear, easy to understand information on price, quantity, quality, and standard of product they consume.
Has assessed the level of performance of the permanent and confirmed trade monitors. This ministry observed with keen concern that there is need to enhance the technical skills and knowledge of the trade monitors in areas of trade and trade-related issues, as well as interpersonal relationships with the business community, reliable trade data collection, report writing, understanding the civil service code and or rules, as well as regulations, and a mode or line of communication. The lack of the requisite training in these areas, coupled with other unprofessional misconduct, led to the suspension of the activities of the trade monitors on the 7th of November 2018, and this is the press release that suspended your operations. Although a good number of the trade monitors have either certificates or diplomas and or university degrees, they however lack the requirement for the job in areas listed above. Against this backdrop, the Ministry of Trade and Industry and the Sierra Leone Standards Bureau, an agency under supervision, have developed an inspection manual for business houses, warehouses, stores, and factories that demonstrate collaboration between the ministry's trade monitors and the agency's field inspectors. And you've seen a copy of it already. It is being prepared for circulation. This document provides general guidelines for inspection and monitoring the quality, quantity, and price of goods in business facilities, warehouses, and factories in Sierra Leone. I will list out a few of the objectives of the inspection manual. Number one, the manual is supposed to ensure compliance and conformity assessments to national and international standards. Secondly, it is to eliminate or minimize the trade in substandard and counterfeit products.
The overall objective of the training was to enhance the technical skills of the trade monitors and the scientific officers to enable them perform their operational activities in implementing and enforcing trade and quality rules and regulations, and render assistance in trade promotion and development activities in the country. For Star News in Freetown, I am George Elliott Sam, reporting.
Thank you so much, George Elliott Sam, for putting that report together. Now, Dabo, let's look at a very critical intervention in your activities, providing legal aid on the dismissal from employment and issues related to wages and salaries. When I look at this from a bigger scheme of things, it does seem to many people that the Law Reform Commission and also Parliament don't seem to be doing much to having these laws modified. For want of better word, they are pretty much obsolete. Are you going to concentrate your endeavor looking at how you can raise advocacy for Parliament and Law Reform Commission to redo most of these laws?
Yes. Employment is one of our key areas. Our niche as an organization is going to be on monitoring Parliament or law reform organizations or law making bodies in Sierra Leone. I mean, for quite too long we have not got organizations which are really targeting law-making bodies. We have got organizations targeting court, monitoring court. We have got organizations monitoring education. We have got organizations monitoring agriculture, all that development. But we have not actually got organization, a local-based organization.
Okay, let me hold a little bit. I'll come back to you. Let's go for it. Apologies for that slight interruption there. Yes, we're talking of people not monitoring Parliament, but rather looking at the activities of courts and other institutions.
Yes, as I was saying, one key area, or one of the key areas of our concern as an organization is going to be on Parliament or law-making bodies. For quite too long, we have not got an established, a well-formidable organization monitoring Parliament and other law-making bodies like the Law Reform Commission. The Law Reform Commission, to me, should be a commission to be looking at loopholes in our
bringing our laws to speed.
Bringing the laws to speed, or like creating amendment to our laws, or looking at our laws and providing or suggesting to parliamentarians that we need to make amendment in this particular area.
But there seems to be a kind of delicious irony here. Our colonial masters, where we derive some of these laws, for them, these laws are no longer in existence.
Of course. If you go to England, where we derive,
we're still holding on to these laws.
Those books are not in their shelves. They have trashed them. You cannot even find them in the street to buy them.
So the question: Are we progressing as a nation?
I mean, legally, or
we seem to be having a kind of arrested development.
Legally, we are progressing, but not to the satisfaction as expected.
Okay.
I mean, I cannot say we are not progressing. I mean, we are not going at that speed that is expected of us. So, I mean, looking at employment, employer-employee relationship, I mean,
maybe we are going at a pace where Eulers refer in Latin as festina lenta, hastily, slowly.
Exactly. Employer-employee relationship is one key area of concern. I mean, it is becoming unbecoming. It is actually becoming unbecoming because there is no much provision on the law.
I'm sure we'll find in time.
I mean, you see employers being sacked, employers being laid off without any benefit, without any adequate damages or compensation.
Okay.
I have handled cases in that respect.
Okay.
You can just see...
You've made a lot of representation in
Exactly. That one is appalling. It's really, really appalling.
Okay.
Our youthful generation is actually suffering from that. I mean, that mayhem, that mishap. So we as an organization, we shall be calling on the Law Reform Commission and our law-making bodies to provide, I mean, immediate laws that can adhere to those concerns.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Bran, a couple of days back, I got an encounter with one of the inspirational speakers in Nigeria, Dr. Ubun King. He was invited in the country to actually address the Nigerian Association, the National Union of Nigerian Students. I will just give you, a clip of, I'll just give you a clip of what he said with respect to how the youths of this country and Africa in general use their expectation in terms of moving along with their development trajectory. Let me go over to my technicians just to get a glimpse of what Dr. Obun said.
Now, in Nigeria, 75% of the population are youth under 45. If a population is quoted to be 180 million, that means youth are 135 million. But the UN has said that we are probably like 201 million. Now, if you have 135 million, are we ready to actually fulfill our responsibilities in the near future? Now, by some reason, we all have to go through education. We have systems that we should put in place, getting ready for that responsibility. But truth be told, a lot of us have not gone through that exercise. Being mature does not mean you because you are of age. That means you are mature. No, you can actually be somebody who is old enough, but you are not intelligent enough. So you now become a risk to the society in the future. So what is missing in the gap, apart from education, is mentorship. They need to show you how to do. They need to show you what to do. Mentorship is actually wisdom without the pain. We don't have to repeat the pain. People that have succeeded, people that have gotten there, have a responsibility to show the younger ones how they did it so they can come up, because the whole world is a competitive space. If you don't teach the young ones how to make it, other people will take advantage of that space. And that's why when they said I should come to Sierra Leone, I did not only look at the Nigerian students, I look at also the Cameroonian students who would also be there and tell them that, look, whatever is a weakness in Nigeria is also a weakness in Cameroon, in Sierra Leone. So coming here to Sierra Leone, I see that we're all the same shape, same sizes, and the same itinerary. If Sierra Leone is going to become a world power, which I see them become, it will take the young people to begin to make that happen now. First of all, is wisdom without the pain. Why would you take 20 years to accomplish something when you can be mentored and achieve it in 4 or 5 years? I don't need to go around the whole. I found out this is the shortcut because you are coming here. This is where you are coming. So why allow you go through all that just to get here? Because the time you are wasting there, technology has changed. Everything has changed. Jack Ma said 800 million jobs will be taken from the system in the next 30 years. So our children, your children, my children, the ones coming behind us will not be competing against each other, but will be competing against machines, against technology. Right now you have technology taking over the whole world. Are we ready for the takeover of artificial intelligence? No. Because we need to also get ready and train our people to be ready to win that battle as at now. Robots are everywhere. We can't keep quiet. We need to start up. And it will take us to say, okay, anybody that's under 40 years old, let's invest in them quickly. United Arab Emirates, as I speak to you, the head of their NASA, somebody is a 24-year-old boy. In 2017, Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum woke up and said he was going to appoint ministers. And he appointed Oman bin Sultan Al Olama, 27-year-old boy, as the Minister of Artificial Intelligence. That they should start building houses in planet Mars by 2117. 100 years projection. The man is 64 years old. He would not live to 164. The boy is 27. He would not live to 127. They are not thinking of the next election. They are thinking of the next generation. We need to wake up.
So what will be... Brian, conclusively, how much have you been able to comprehend some of the things said by Dr. Obun King?
Dr. Obun King possesses the charisma of Dr. Martin Luther King. He speaks wisely, he speaks with caution, and he speaks with experience. So I believe looking at him and listening to him, I've been able to learn a lot.
Okay.
And these are some of the things we can see how we can be able to include in some of these programs. Because originally when I started this, when I developed this program, it was a one-man idea. But lately, with the intelligence and network of my staff and other people close to me, they've been able to bring in a lot of things.
Quickly,
So
let's talk
basically
on the
we'll also
partnership for this event.
Yes, we have with us Afri Radio as one of our partners. We have ECOWAS Youth Council. We have the Office of the African Youth Envoy, African Union, partnering with us. We have Abraham Travels and Tours. We have with us Keystone Bank. We also have with us a lot of partners. We have a lot of partners, but we are also looking forward to getting many people, because this is the first time of its kind. An event like this has been hosted in Sierra Leone. So the more people we have, the more relevant the event becomes.
Okay. Elizabeth, what could be your closing remark?
Just as I watch Dr. King, the remarks, the world is really in fastest speed. So I think our youths of this generation, Sierra Leone, should be in tune with that speed. So technology will not leave you behind, but you'll be in tune with technology. So I want the people to expect much from the AYA, because it's first of its kind, and they're really going to appreciate what AYA, the impact AYA is going to leave in the life of youths who are going to attend. So shortly, for people who want to attend, delegates, you can call us or you can SMS or send in for registration through this line, +232 78 765049 or 034 268 262. You can send in text for registration purpose or for more info about the conference on the 10th to the 15th July. Thank you.
Quickly, 30 seconds, your closing remark before I go back to
My closing remarks will be, we want more people to come. We want youths to take this as a big opportunity. They shouldn't be left out.
Okay.
And we want to work with everyone as possible.
Yes, Ladabo, quickly.
Yes, I want all bigger bodies to work with my organization, as it's going to be a new organization, a new dispensation in delivering justice to all kinds of Sierra Leoneans, all classes of Sierra Leoneans. So I would want the Ministry of Justice, all the law bodies to work with me to actualize my dream.
Okay. Thank you so much, Hadiru Dabo, Executive Director for the Center for Law and Civil Rights. Also here, Brian Sita, Kago, and Elizabeth Mensah. Thank you both for honoring this edition of this final edition for this week program, The Good Morning Show. Looking forward to having you before the commencement of this conference, at least with another program. Till then, this is how I do that recorded into this edition of the program. Thanks to my studio guests. My name is Abdul Rahman Kumar. Have a wonderful day.
Hello and a pleasant welcome to Star Television Network Channel 21, and I am Sienna Wright with the local news bulletin file. First, our top stories. The World Peace and Diplomacy Organization